Thank you for tuning in to WDRB Media, the voice of the community. The only station giving you double the information and inspiration. You're listening to Perky Collar Radio Show, and I'm your host, David M. Frankel. I'd like to introduce you to my first guest today. Her name is Maureen Jones. She's done an online business for over 20 years and has a new twist to the game of chess. Please help me welcome Maureen Jones. Maureen, are you there?
Yes, I am, David. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me, Maureen. So let's start off with telling me about the online business you've done for 20 years. It sounds very exciting, lots of different products. Tell us a little more about that and what motivated you to get started 20 years ago.
Well, I had a difficulty with caring for my children, and they were at home and needed special care. So I decided to find something that I could do at home.
Okay.
And I began to make handmade blankets and pillows and anything else that people needed. And it flourished for quite a long time until eBay changed its pattern of selling to international countries. Then the American side kind of fell down. But I did a fantastic job, and I still sell many items that people would want to have made for their home decor, like cushions or, covers, just anything, drapes, shower curtains, anything.
That's excellent. And how can people find the variety of things that you offer online?
Oh, well, usually people, if they're searching for anything like that or someone to make it, there's quite a number of us on the auction sites. Now, I work on Etsy and Artfire and eCreator. And also, if you look for Faux Fur items, that's what I kind of narrowed down into using, is because the Faux Fur was really in demand.
Huh.
And, so there's a lot of animal prints. You know how zebra has been a big splatter out there. Everybody wants something made in zebra.
Sure.
Well,
how can they find you on Etsy? What is you have a name on Etsy? Is there a way of searching for you?
Etsy, you could just search in the Faux Fur blankets or pillows.
Okay.
And then my name is CS Chess.
CS as
like in Charlie.
Okay.
CS Chess. And you should find me.
Okay, so
you
under
can
Etsy,
find me if you search for me on the internet.
Okay, so
if you just punch in and Google me, yes.
Okay, so under Google we can find Maureen Jones.
Yes.
But under Etsy we can find CS Chess, as in Charlie, Sam, then the word chess, CHESS. Is that correct?
Right, Dave. That's
okay.
Right.
Perfect. And what about Artfire and eCreator? Is it the same?
It'd be the same.
It'd be
yes.
The same on all three. Okay. And then is there a website that you sell these items on as well, or just the Etsy, Artfire, and eCreator?
No, I have a domain, but it's for my other idea.
Okay. The CS Chess idea?
Game.
Okay. We'll get to that in just a second. We'll talk a little bit. That's very exciting and very creative as well. But as far as the handmade things on Etsy, Artfire, and eCreator, it's all under CS Chess.
Yes.
Excellent. And you've been making these blankets and pillows for 20 years, and just recently you've gone to the Faux Fur blankets and pillows. What makes the Faux Fur so popular? Is it the comfort of it? Is it the quality of it? Is it both? Is it the patterns? What makes it unique?
In the first couple of years, I tried cottons and everything, and I realized that when I incorporated the use of some Faux Fur fabrics, especially Velboa, it is the best on the market. I think it doesn't shed, it doesn't fade. You can wash it, so on and so forth. It's just great for it, especially if you make a baby blanket out of it or any kind of blanket. I mean, they're substantial fabrics. They make a blanket that you're proud to give, to people.
Sure.
So Yeah, after a couple of years of starting out in the kind of business, I went to Faux Furs because that seemed to be what was working more. It's very difficult to find the right pattern of fabric. Waverly has millions of patterns, and you could have a warehouse full of fabric, and you may sell none of it. Or you only sell what somebody is looking for. You have to know the color for the year. There's a lot of people that work off that basis, like if red is the popular color for the year you're starting out, then you should try to put that into your inventory as much as you can, especially if it's a cotton. Get different types of reds. And that's really hard to match. You have a problem because people will order something, they think the color is right, and then they'll say, you know what, I got it, it's beautiful, but it doesn't match. Can I return it?
Nope.
And here you've made all this,
It's handmade, it's one of a kind, and made it for them.
And it might be a 20 by 20 inch pillow or a 24 by 24 inch pillow. It may be just their custom design that they wanted made, and you have to take it back and give them their money back.
Wow.
Because that's customer service.
Sure.
So you try and put on your site, no returns on very custom made items.
Exactly.
But if they went to a store and they had a sales receipt and they picked up a pillow off the shelf, they would be able to take it back.
Right.
So, you gotta be. Yeah. So that's why I went into just certain line. I know it seems just very narrow, and Faux Furs have a lot of selections, especially in the animal kingdom or in the minky faux fur. I mean, there's some beautiful stuff out there that's it wouldn't hurt you to make anything out of it.
Sure.
You can make a jacket out of it, a stole, just whatever you need. Yeah, so that's why I went into the Faux Furs, and I sold like crazy. It was cha-ching,
That's excellent. And how common is the faux fur fabric? Is it something like you can find at Joann's Fabrics or Michael's or Hobby Lobby, or is it hard to come by? Or
Joann, I remember used to order some of it, and then she kind of cut down on it, the selection. She might still have some, but she was asking like $25 a yard for it.
That was my next question.
So people couldn't afford that.
Right. So $25 a square yard is expensive.
$25 is expensive, and then you'd have to pass that on to the buyer,
Exactly.
So you find different routes for the same material,
Makes
There's, it comes from China. On top of it, it's a beautiful fabric. Honestly, the colors don't fade. It doesn't shrink. It doesn't shred. You can wash it, and it dries in like 15 minutes. It's 100% poly. That's only ester, and it's just great. So if people see that one out there somewhere, don't be afraid to buy it because it won't. Most of the time you wash some of them, they shred, and you get little patches of missing fur.
Exactly.
This is a short fur, but it's beautiful,
Wow.
and it stays that way.
Well,
Stays that way.
And I think you've educated a lot of the listeners for what is faux fur. I'm sure a lot of people have never heard of it. Maybe they were afraid of it. They didn't know how long it lasts, how well it hold up. And I think you've put a lot of them at ease, knowing that it's a good quality fabric. A little bit on the pricey end, but you get what you pay for. It's going to hold up. It's going to look nice, and it's going to look.
Well, no, I wouldn't. I don't buy that. Yeah, no, it takes. I make the blankets for now $90 each for a 72 by 60 inch blanket, and it's double sided. Like sometimes I'll use Black Panther on reverse side and zebra on another. It all depends what the people are looking for.
Of course,
They can
all
select.
custom and one of a kind, which is great. And maybe this holiday season, some people are looking for a special blanket. Do you find that most people get blankets for themselves, like for their master bedroom, or is it given to children to stay warm? Is it given to
All
seniors
sizes.
because they appreciate the quality, or who's the target market for the blankets that are being purchased?
I've made them only in single size up to king size blankets that I've made for people because I didn't get into the baby blanket section because that was a whole new category, and I didn't at the time. I didn't think I could handle the business. Uh, it takes a little while, to make a blanket.
Sure, of course. Understandable.
But I tell you, I made myself one. I made a black and white zebra on one side and red on the other. And I've had that thing for 8 years.
Wow.
And it looks like new, and I've washed it constantly. That's why I'm so happy with it.
Sure.
I'm thinking this is what the other people are going to be getting. It probably will outlive their liking of it.
I'm sure. Sounds like it. Now, do
They'll
those people
change
use
their
it?
decor before it wears out.
Exactly. Now, do they use it as a throw, or do they use it as a bedroom blanket, or how do they tend to use the blankets?
You can wear it, as a bedroom
both?
blanket. Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of things you can do with it. I mean, all kinds of anything your imagination comes up with can be made into a blanket.
That's excellent.
Stripes, different colors on the edges. I did some 3 blankets for a man in the Netherlands. He wanted them, and when he got them, he was just so happy. That was last year in January. And he just didn't stop, saying, thank you so much. They are really nice.
That's great.
And I was really worried because I went to the Netherlands.
Right. It's a long distance. It's an expensive return if it comes back, too, right?
It's for sure. It was over $100 to ship.
I bet
Yes.
you. I bet you. Yeah, I ship Perky Collars across the globe, and every once in a while I look at shipping, it's $47. It's twice as much as the product itself. I'm like, but if you have to have a Perky Collar in the Netherlands or Australia or wherever, South Africa, so be it. As long as they're happy and they get what they pay for. So it sounds awesome. Again, I hope a lot of our listeners get into and look into faux fur for their loved ones, or hire you to make some blankets for their loved ones for that hard to buy for person, but it's always cold. And my wife is actually one of those people that's always cold. I'm sure she would love a faux fur blanket. But I also want to get into, before our time is up, I want to get into your new passion, which is a new twist to the game of chess called CH Chess. Could you tell our listeners a little bit more about CH Chess, how it works, how it's different than the standard game of chess?
Sure. I call it a Cardinal Super Chess and Super Checkers because we've added a piece to the classical game of chess. Let me put it this way. I'll tell you what happened. It was Christmas Eve, and one of my sons came to me. We always play chess at home, and he says, "Hey, Mom," he put the game on my lap. He says, I want to play chess on 3 levels. And I said, oh, okay, Tommy. And it's the first time I ever really looked at the board. Don't know why. He said, so, you know what, Tommy? What would we add a piece? And Danny's standing there with him. Yeah, I don't know if he says anything. A couple of days later, during the holiday season, I see Danny's reading the book. He's asked me a question, and a picture of a cardinal pops out. And I was in the kitchen doing dishes, and he asked me a question. I turned around, and I looked, and I said, I didn't even answer the kid. I said, hey, honey, you know that chess piece? We're going to make it look like the head of that cardinal. And that's what we're going to call it, the cardinal. And then when Tommy came along, I said, Tommy, here's what we're going to do. And he said, let me think, Mom. And he was working on it. And I don't know if he went to Friends or where, but he came back with the movement. It was dynamic because there was only one movement left that you could use before you repeated yourself. I don't know if you play chess, but like the bishop moves on a diagonal.
Correct.
Okay. And other pieces, you can't miss them to move the same way as the bishop.
Right.
Okay, then you have a knight. It's a it's a square
Like an
L
L shape.
shape.
Correct. Like one step over and then three
Well,
over.
right. So I combined the two movements. Well, Tommy did to a diagonal L.
A diagonal L. Interesting.
It's the last movement available. So with no other pieces you could use, is if you did take their movement, you'd be repeating themselves. You know what I mean? The other pieces.
Right.
So
is this three diagonal steps, one direction, and then one over? Is that the motion?
Two up. It can vary. Two up, one over, two up on a diagonal.
Okay.
Two out on a diagonal, and one over on a diagonal.
Okay.
Like an L, but on a diagonal.
Gotcha.
A diagonal L.
That makes sense.
Okay? Or you can go one out.
And then three over.
Two over.
Oh, two over. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the...
That's okay.
The knight is three. So this is going to be two.
Right. Right. That's right. I know. See how you should... Once you play it, you got it down, all right?
All right. That makes sense.
Well, we made a mock-up game, and we tried it, and it worked. We said, my gosh, it works.
That's exciting.
Okay. We said, so we wanted to play it, and then we thought, well, what are we going to do? So I protected it, and I had it checked out with a big patent attorney in Chicago that did the socket wrench lawsuit for that kid that didn't have any protection, and he went to some big company, and he had some wrench that he told them about, and they took it on the kid. And so he fought 12 years and won. So his name was pretty big. So I took the game to him, and he liked it very much. It was he wanted to be part of it. Okay. So as time went by, and this is some time back, my sons were younger. It took a lot of money to be able to build a game, because you have to have the chess pieces, you have to have molds,
sure,
you have to have the board, instructions, everything has to be done, and then the box. So I sat for a long time because there was no way to get that done. And I didn't know people, if you tried to call a game company, they wouldn't talk to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't come in. So I was waiting for time, and then somewhere along the line, I wrote to Walmart because I saw them talking about it and how they gave out evaluations. So I wrote it all out on a piece of paper because I didn't have a computer at home. And I mailed it to them, and you know what they did? They sent me an evaluation. And they told me, because it's just a idea on paper, there's nothing we can buy from you.
Right. To make a prototype or a working product.
Yeah. But the evaluation was many pages long. Many. And it ticked off all kinds of, ideas and things that could happen to the game and. And it said, it did its fair share of the market. It could very well last forever. They had a category for how long it would last. Right. And the last one was 10 years or more. Wow. And so they checked that one. So on and so forth. So, okay, I had that. I had that as a burning ember inside of me. And I kept going forward as much as I could. And I tried constantly. Believe me, I did. I had various newspaper articles done in Illinois. I did all kinds of stuff. People would call me. And the funny thing was, I came home from work one night, and the phone's ringing. I grab it, and it's the Associated Press.
Wow.
And they said, you've got, we saw it in your local newspaper. I said, yeah, right. And I said, yes, it's called it. They asked the questions, that was it, and then they hung up. And I said, okay, so I guess it went all over.
Yeah, you made some traction.
But, yes, you know what happened? is from the newspaper article, I started getting calls that night from people that wanted to buy a game. And all I had was a very fragile set of pieces that we made at home. We had plastic bags on our kitchen table for 3 months.
Wow.
And we kept making the chess pieces and putting it in a little box, making a mold out of it, plaster of Paris, putting, sealing it aside, and we kept sealing it inside no matter what we did. It didn't work. I had to go back, read the book on how to get the piece out. Finally, when we did, we learned how to make it, and that's what we used to have as a prototype, okay?
Right.
And that's when they took a picture of that, so that's what people saw.
Wow.
Anyway, as time went on, I had some money. I made it, and I sold them. But I made one mistake. I didn't realize I was just in so much of a hurry to make it because I waited all these years,
Sure.
I didn't realize that big molds cost lots of money.
They do.
Yeah, that's my mistake. And I couldn't go on.
Right. Makes
But
sense.
I sold the other one, so I mean.
Could your
So
Cardinal just be an add-on piece to the existing game of chess to keep your cost down? And just have additional rules that says, hey, add this to your chess game and here's how the game will change? Just by adding this one
no,
piece?
you need a 10 by 10 square board.
You have to provide the whole thing. You have to have all the pieces to chess. You have to have the board in order to implement the Cardinal Super Chess.
You need a 10 by 10 inch square board.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it could be a simple add-on. At least your cost is lower and it's just an add-on to an existing game. But if you have to provide all the pieces, that's a bigger task.
Yeah, but I got a way of doing that. Okay, I got a way I found. Okay, now next thing goes on. So I'm trying. Still, the game companies won't let you in. Still going on. Okay. All of a sudden, one day, a couple of years ago, I get another brainstorm because I'm thinking about the placement of the pieces. And I had been watching and always fascinated by Isaac Newton. I'm not strange, but I kind of like the documentary that National Geographic showed showing Isaac Newton and his theory on the number 3. How it's so much in our world. I mean, everything starts with the number 3. It's the prime number that really spins everything else off. Okay. So I'm thinking, that I loved, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking in my mind about the chess piece, the Cardinal, how it was lined up, and all of a sudden I said, why does it have to be lined up? Don't line it up. Put the pieces where you want. And put the 3 the high-ranking pieces, the 4, the cardinal, the bishop, the knight, and the castle, make 3 of them. So that, and I thought more about the Crusaders as they traveled Europe and they fought, and they said they would play chess on the boat, they would play it at a campfire to plan their strategies for the wars, the holy wars.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to go against kings in their castles, and they had to figure out great strategies. So the king had to figure out a strategy too, because they had these guys coming. And what would they do with their queen? They wouldn't put her next to them unless they didn't like her.
Right, of course.
But they take that queen and they put her somewhere where she was protected.
So you change the strategy and the layout so the queen could be anywhere on the board that you wanted. That's part of the game.
That's right. So that's what here I got another expansion to this game. I had one called Cardinal Super Chess 1,
kind of like,
and now Cardinal Super Chess 2.
Kind of like Battleship. You decide where you want your ships to go. It's not predetermined where your ships have to go.
That's right.
To some degree.
The first line is now where all the high-ranking pieces are, but you can place them anywhere you want.
Right.
And that's how you start your strategy. And my gosh, when you play this is so much. So I call it also, as a nickname I gave it, is Chessnasium. Like a gymnasium.
Oh, I see. Chessnasium.
Chessnasium because it works your brain.
That's sure. That
It
makes sense.
helps you develop skills that you wouldn't believe come out. I mean, chess is so great a game because people develop everything, their languages, math. They have their memory. You have to hold on to what you're thinking. Okay, you start developing those. The rest of them come along too.
Right.
They just don't hang behind. So this one really works. I love it. And I got a couple other special rules that I got with this game. I put everything on one board, okay? I put, it's now really a lot of squares, 196 squares. It's 14 by 14 squares, okay? But the center is marked off, and you'll see it, as to play regular chess.
Okay.
And then if you want to expand, you can play Cardinal Super Chess 1, and there's a little red line that runs around 100 squares. So you know where to place your pieces.
Gotcha.
And then you'd use the whole board for the Cardinal Super Chess 2. Then I've got some other, like I said, special rules that I can't tell right now, but they'll be in the instructions.
Excellent.
And
I
I'm
like the
still
suspense aspect
working
of
on
it.
Pardon me?
I like the suspense aspect of it. Now, how can...
Yes, well, not really. It's just that I've got these. These are real special. These are real special.
No, it sounds great. It sounds like a great extension of the game, and chess and checkers have been around for so long that it's nice to have a variation of the game to even challenge those who are excellent in chess, or maybe you'll inspire people to learn to play the game of chess because they want to play the new version of Cardinal Super Chess. So help our listeners.
Yeah, but you know what? What's really great, David, really. Now, if you look at it, David, chess is not balanced. Really, I love chess. I played it with my kids. I taught it to them. My son Tommy, when he was 3,
right,
he could play chess.
Wow.
Let me tell you, it's balanced now. If you look at the right side of the board, the first row, there's a rook and a knight, right?
Right.
That's 2 military pieces, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then comes along the bishop. We only have 1. Then next is the king and queen, 2 royalty.
Right, stand side by side.
So, yeah, 2. So we got 2 military, 1 clergy, 2 royalty. When you slip the cardinal in, now you have 2, 2, and 2.
Mm.
Now the game is balanced.
That makes sense. Well, Maureen, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today and tell us a lot about Cardinal Super Chess. Tell the listeners one last chance how they find. We talked about the blankets on Etsy, Artfire, and eCreator. How can they find the Cardinal Super Chess? Is it something they can download? Is it something they can buy in stores? Can they buy through a website? How can they get a hold of it? Or is it even available just yet?
It's on auction sites.
Okay.
If you go into Etsy, try to search for Faux Fur blankets.
Okay.
And then they should pop up, and you'll see CS Chess as the maker.
Okay.
And then if that's why, try and Google it.
So they Google
CS
Cardinal
Chess,
Super
you'll
Chess.
probably get a lot of chess games on it.
Okay, so if they Google Cardinal Super Chess, they can find it.
Yeah, that, or just try Maureen Jones or Faux Fur blankets. Any one of those 3 ways should bring them right to it.
Excellent. Maureen, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. I think
Thank
you've
you,
given people
David.
some new thoughts on the game of chess and even other board games they played since they were kids, maybe Connect 4 or checkers that they can make it better, or they can add some new rules or new components to add some diversity to the game. Again, you get people's brains thinking, and that's the whole idea of the show. Is it's about entrepreneurship, it's about business ownership, it's about thinking outside the box, and not just staying complacent. So I really appreciate you taking the time today to be with us, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. And you're listening to Perky Collar Radio Show. Oh, my pleasure, Maureen. I'm your host, David M. Frankel. You're tuned into WDRB Media, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. We'll be right back after the break.